Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to continue in the, we call it Path to Prayer. We're going to continue on page 13 in the bottom with the beracha of Asher Yatzar. So today, hopefully, I'm hoping to cover two berachot. One is Asher Yatzar, the other one is Elokai Neshama. So yesterday, it was like 3 weeks ago, we discussed 3 weeks ago we discussed the beginning of the prayers, Modeh Ani and Al Netilat Yadayim, and their importance in what we do every morning. In very short, we discussed that Modeh Ani, you cannot say the name of God in the morning before you wash your hands. This is from the Zohar. And because of that, the rabbis instituted the concept of saying Modeh Ani, which is a short little saying that is like doing the essence of what a Jew came to this world to do, and that is to thank and to recognize. Yehudi, from the same words as Yehuda, and that is Hoda, which is the same, it has two meanings, the word Hoda, and that is to think and to recognize. So we recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Chai V'Kayam, that you return my neshama. Thank you so much that I'm awake. So many other people, they don't wake up. We see this. But to me, you woke me up today, and I'm alive. Thank you. And I recognize that you are God. And the next bracha, we said, Al Netilat Yadayim, the significance of saying Al Netilat Yadayim, we said that according to the Kabbalah, it comes from the midah of Keter, which Keter is the crown, and the Keter, according to the Kabbalah, which is the top of the 10 Sefirot, the 10 attributes which we recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu with, we explained that Keter brings things up. It brings things up. When I put a crown on someone, when we crown someone, it makes his statue goes from someone, normal to the king. It elevates him. And that's what the Keter does. And Al Netilat Yadayim is Keter, and what it does, we said Al Netilat Yadayim, the explanation of the words Al Netilat Yadayim means to bringing up the hands, what the hands signify, and what the hands symbolize is, as we said before, was this world. We said that the most connected to this world in our body is our hands. They deal with the ground, they deal with work, they deal with business, they deal with food, they deal with everything. And that's the way we connect to Olam Hazeh, to this world. And when we do Netilat Yadayim, we bring up our hands and we say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Atah Shekhet, Al Netilat Yadayim, I am giving you everything that today I am going to do with my hands is in your possession. Everything. I am bringing up my hands to you. Al Netilat Yadayim, bringing up the hands. Next beracha is Asher Yatzar. Asher Yatzar, I just want to give an introduction from the rabbis. How much the sages, they gave significance to this beracha. It's on page 13 in the bottom. Asher Yatzar, if you look over here, it says, anytime one goes to the restroom, he should wash his hands. And then you say the following blessing. So this is a blessing that was instituted by the Amoraim, by the people, by the rabbis of the Talmud, and even before, that has to do with the bathroom. After a person uses the bathroom, he or she have to say this beracha. And even the little ones should, we should try and make sure that they know this beracha. The rabbis tell us that whoever says this beracha and at least gives 20 seconds of his time or her time to say this beracha with concentration will have refuah shelema for the rest of his or her life. Whoever accepts on himself, even if it means 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times a day. Now there's exceptions. I mean, if a person is he has any issues and he has to keep going in and out, there's exceptions. Sometimes you don't have to say it all the time. It's just too much. But most of the time, in a regular functioning body, where we go even 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day to the restroom, to use the restroom, right? If we accept in ourselves that at least for 20 seconds we have concentration, not even on the great meanings that we're going to learn right now tonight in our class, just the explanation of the words. just the basic explanation of the words. He or she are going to be zocheh, have the zechut, to always be healthy for the rest of their life. And I even tell you a story that, there's a lot of people that were saved. A lot of people that were saved with this beracha. So Hashem will discuss this. Let's start with the beracha. Let's first go through the beracha. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, God of the universe. Asher Yatzar et ha'adam bechochma. So the first thing we find is the beracha says Asher Yatzar. Notice Yatzar means formed. Who has formed men bechochma. So he's formed the human being, man or woman, Adam, bechochma, with wisdom. Uvaravo nekavim nekavim, and he created within him and her nekavim nekavim, openings. Chalulim chalulim, and cavities. Openings are different places in the body where, like the ears and the nose and the mouth, where it's open, and cavities like the limbs that we have, or the what do you call them again? What are these called again? The veins. The veins, the inside, they're a cavity. And there's stuff flowing through them. Chalulim, chalulim. Galui ve'adua lifnei chisei chavodecha. It is obvious and it is known before the throne of your glory. Chisei hakavod. She'im yisatem echad mehem. If one of them will get closed, clogged up. Or im yipater echad mehem, or one of those that is supposed to be clogged up from the creation opens up. It would be impossible for us to exist even for one small second. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, who heals all flesh and does wonders. This is the beracha. This is the beracha that one has to say after he uses the restroom. Again, as Jews, it goes without saying. Anything that we do, we have to think. This is something that we have to understand in our mind. I just heard a rabbi say in his speech that I was listening to, he said, people take for granted that they're able to buy birthday gifts. He gives gifts. People, you go to someone's house and you bring them a bottle. Some people bring Bartanura, and then, Janes, Herzog wine bottle. And then you have the fancy ones who bring Macallan and what's the tequila called? Patron, right? They give Patron. And then you have, Casamigos, they bring these expensive, oh my goodness, right? People take that for granted. I have the money to go ahead and give someone voluntarily for inviting me to their house. Yes, of course, they were able to pay. They're paying for my dinner. Of course, they should get it. But sometimes our gifts are even more than what we're this. It's of course, it makes us connected. By the same token, the fact that you have money to buy gifts, a birthday gift, even to your children, to your brothers, sisters, parents, buy them gifts is not something that you should take for granted. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for giving me the money to buy a gift for my wife, for my husband, for my children, for their birthday, or for the Chag, or for something. Why was he saying this? In order to make us go crazy? There's so many things we go crazy. We thank God. Because this is what we have to do in this world. We are called Yehudim, and we are the light to the nation. The light that we bring to the nation is we telling them nothing in this world is for granted. And now imagine going to the restroom. Even before we're going into understanding the blessing, I'm sure each and every one of you know how important it is that everything in the body functions correctly. How many times we hear of surgeries of gallbladder and the spleen and the appendix that is bursting, chas v'chalila, or the heart, which is a cavity in itself, and if it opens or it clogs, achmana litzlan, what could happen? How many people do we know that are suffering right now at the moment because of health issues? And what happens after you hear someone got sick? What's the first thing you do the next day? You suddenly you get this feeling. And tell me if I'm wrong, but usually you get a feeling and it lasts for maybe a day, as Hashem, maybe two, maybe a week if you're lucky. Oh my goodness, I'm so lucky. You ever seen someone without legs? Completely, the pants are falling down on their legs. And what do you feel? Oh my goodness, I feel so bad. And suddenly you feel your legs, and you're like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. It's not a joke that we're able to walk. Asher Yatzar et Adam mechochma is a blessing of thanking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you so much. And I know that every single second, not just every day when I wake up, you make sure, oh, everything is functioning. Good, I'm set for the day. Every single second, suddenly, it's crazy. One of my friends from yeshiva woke up healthy, everything is good. In the middle of learning Torah, he feels pain over here. His lungs collapsed. Was rushed to the ER. Nothing. They don't have this in the family. They don't have. This is a very sensitive bracha, because once you really pay attention to what it's about, you get scared. You're like, oh my goodness. Like, what am I going to do? How do I know the next second I'm going to be healthy? The next minute, the next hour? It's the same thing. People take for granted crossing the street. People think that they cross the street. People take for granted when they're driving from Los Angeles to Las Vegas or Vegas to Los Angeles, and there's so many trucks passing by, stopping in the middle of the road. Anything. How many times did we hear about trucks of people chas v'chalila colliding and this and that and going out of control? But people take that for granted. That's why Chazal said that the rabbis that told us that we make a special bracha called Teffilah Taderech, and every single one of you should try and say this. It's a beautiful blessing. Whether we fly on the plane. How do I know the plane is going to keep going? The same thing to our most important asset, and that is our guf. To us, that's the most important. Every single second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure that it's healthy. We say a pasuk. It's in Shemot. Kol machala asher samti lecha. Where is it? It's in the end of we say this every single day in Shacharit. It's a beautiful pasuk. It says, right over here. This is after Alenu Leshabeach of Shacharit. And he said, if you listen to the voice of Hashem your God, and you do what is right in his eyes, and you heed his commandments, and you observe all of his laws, any sickness that I set upon Egypt, I will not set upon you. Ki ani Adonai rofecha. I am Hashem, your healer. Not just the doctor whenever you need me. The doctor, even when you think you don't need me, even at this moment, I heal you. Now it opens a new avenue to you. When you daven the regular blessing, because we know we don't say this blessing in Shabbat, Refaenu, there's a special, one of the 18 brachot is Refaenu, give us healing. And you're like, Baruch Hashem, I'm healthy right now. I'm good. I'm not suffering from any aches. I'm not suffering from any pain. Baruch Hashem, I'm good. What am I blessing? Let me skip this bracha. No. Every single second you have to bless. You have to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, keep me healthy. Don't take that for granted. Now let's go about what this is, this beracha. This beracha, Asher Yatzar, the old sages, right after the time of the Talmud, these kedoshim, mamash, holy rabbis who say that this beracha is comprised out of mem hey tavot, 45 words. 45 is the same gematria as Adam, man. To tell you, ki ze kol Adam. This beracha keeps a person, everything functioning. This beracha has the power of healing. One thing that I want you to know, right in the beginning, it says, Asher Yatzar et Adam b'chochma. According to Kabbalah, this beracha, every beracha that we're going to see, you're going to see all kind of hints to different things in Kabbalah that the rabbis placed for us. We just went through Al Netilat Yadayim, which is the beracha of Keter, bringing up. After Keter comes, the next attribute is Chochma, wisdom. Chochma. Asher Yatzar et Adam b'chochma. That's the next blessing, Chochma. It's according to the Sefirah, to the attribute of Chochma. Now, what is the Chochma over here? What is the Chochma? So there's two types of Chochmot. The Kabbalists teach us. There's two types of Chochmot. There's a superficial chokhmah, wisdom, knowledge, that a person sees his body and he says, wow, it's fascinating. He learned biology, they learned physiology, they learned about the human body, anatomy, and they know what it is. And it's chokhmah, it's wisdom. And that's the type of wisdom. The wisdom is that they understand how the world, they see how everything, and they get fascinated. But then there's a much deeper chokhmah in play. Asher Yatzar et Adam bechokhmah. We learned in this last week's parasha, and it's beautiful how it comes up right after the last week's parasha. We learned that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a person in his likeness. Kidmutenu. There's two things. Naaseh Adam betzalmenu, in our form, vekidmutenu, and our likeness. What does that mean, like God? Like God that can think. Like God that has his own brain and understanding. Where do you get this from? Not from your body. Your body is the ground. You get it from the neshama. You get it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who gave you chokhmah. This is the two chokhmos, the chokhmot that we thank God for. The superficial chokhmah, that we understand things, that we have knowledge. And the chokhmah that God gave us, that he made us like him. To the point that anything of our actions that we do in this world, even the smallest of our actions, make a big difference up there in the world, in the upper world, even though we don't see it. Like the butterfly effect. They say that when there is a butterfly in Taiwan swinging in his wings, right? That brings a tsunami in the coast of San Francisco or something like that. There's a saying that they say. This is the butterfly effect. The small acts that you do have the farther it is, the more it's going to have an effect. And this is the same thing. Any action that we do, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Adam HaRishon when he created him. The Midrash tells us, the sages tell us a beautiful thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Adam HaRishon and he traveled with him in Gan Eden. And he told him, look at all these beautiful trees, the beautiful buildings, the beautiful creation that I created. Look and understand that you have the power to destroy nature or to make nature even better. According to your actions, they made a study. Everyone over here heard of this study about the plants. One plant, they gave it the same amount of water, the same amount of light. One plant, they talked to it every morning. Good morning. How are you doing? How is everything? The other one curses. Why are you like this? Why are you not growing? I want to see this. They talked bad words. And after 2-3 weeks, they saw the one that they talked beautiful words to. It was growing in such a beautiful development. But the one they talked the bad words, as you already assume, it was crippling. This is the power of our words. We don't even know. Our words can change the trees around us. As much as it seems like it's a hippie concept where they used to hug trees. It's true. The way we talk, that's how much the trees can produce. It says, very funny, it says actually in the Gemara, that if you see that the heavens are as strong as steel from bringing water, they're not as moist. There's no water, unfortunately. It's because the generation has azut panim. It has a certain amount of brazenness, of chet, of doing sin. Because the nation, Am Yisrael, especially, we're talking about Am Yisrael, is brazen. Because of that, the Shamayim are also brazen. And they don't bring us water. They say, oh, okay. We're not bringing. Moshe Rabbeinu made us one of the testimony. Remember? Ha'azinu ha'shamayim v'adabera. V'tishma ha'aretz mimei pri. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm going to give testimony to Am Yisrael through two things that are always going to last. The Shamayim and the Aretz. And there are witnesses to make sure that we follow the Torah. Shamayim see that Am Yisrael is brazen. Okay, no problem. We're going to be brazen. We're not going to bring water. Audacity. This is what the concept of Chochma is. That person has this power. Uvara, let's continue. Asher Yatzar et Adam b'chokhmah, so he created them with the wisdom. So we discussed this is the type of wisdom. Another type of wisdom that you can think of more. Again, I'm giving you a buffet over here. Anyone who wants, whatever you want to take, there's sesame chicken, there's barbecue chicken, there's cigars, there's Whatever type of a sushi you like, this is the type you're gonna have kavana, and you're gonna understand the tefillah. So that was a more of a deeper understanding. The more superficial understanding of Chochma is very simple. Hakadosh Baruch Hu created him with wisdom, in a wisdom type of a way, in a smart type of a way. If you look at the creation, everything was created. Who was created last? Adam. Adam came like a king comes into his palace. Everything was created for Adam. And his food. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure that everything that a person needs in order to live is there. Brings us a bit of emunah. A person sees that he doesn't have money. He's not making so much money. Rent is due. He has to pay for his bills. Don't worry. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has you. Everything was set. He's not going to leave you. He's not going to throw you into the street. It's one chokhmah. Uvara bo nekavim. And he created within him many openings. Now, there's a secret over here that the rabbis so beautifully hid in two words. Yatzar ubara. What is the difference between Yetzirah and Beriah? Anyone knows? Yetzirah and Beriah. Huh?
Beriah is by God.
Okay, and Yetzirah?
Could be by people.
That's very good. No, you're getting on the right track. Yetzirah means to form. Beriah means yesh me'ain. Those who are not familiar with this concept, it's probably the most important concept in Judaism. Words are called yesh me'ain. Something from nothing. Me'ain. Nothing. No. Ain with the aleph. Ain with an aleph. Ain. Where does it say? Shir Lamaalot Esa Einai El Ha'arim Me'ain Yavo Ezri. Beautifully said by David HaMelech. Why do we always say Shir Lamaalot? You know that? You know, in Arvit, every night, before we end the Teffilah of Arvit, we say Shir Lamaalot. Why do we say Shir Lamaalot? Shir Lamaalot is one of the most beautiful tefillot you can find. Tehillim you can find. Probably the most important tefillim. That's why it's not for nothing that kimat every Jew knows Shir Lamaalot Esa Einai El Ha'arim. By the way, whoever needs shidduch, tell them to say in the end of their davening, Shir Lamaalot Esa Einai El Ha'arim Me'ain Yavo Ezri. Which Ezri? If you read, Ezri means my help, my support. If you read this week's parasha, what does Hashem say when He created Adam? He says, Lo toveyot Adam. It's not good. No, it's not good that he's alone. E'eselo ezer kenegdo. I'll make him a support system. Who is that? The woman. She's there to support her. He's there to support her. Me'ayin yavo ezri. If you know someone who is having a problem with shidduchim, let him say, Shir Lamaalot Esa Einai El Ha'arim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Where will my Ezer Kenegdi, where will my support come from? Men and women, doesn't matter. Say it. It's a very nice tefillah to say it before Elokai Neshama. So in the tefillah, there is Baruch Atah Hashem Hamvarech et Amo Yisrael Bashalom. Amen. We say Yiyu Leratzon Nimrei Fi V'Egion Levi Lefanecha Adonai Tzuri V'Goali. We go into Elohai Neshama before Elohai Neshama, you say Shir Lamaalot. That spot, the Mekubalim say this is a good spot if you need a shidduch to say Shir Lamaalot. And in general, if you have any problem to say Shir Lamaalot, but especially for shidduchim, this is a good pasuk. Says David HaMelech, Shir. Now I'm going to teach you the secret of Shir Lamaalot. Shir Lamaalot Esa Einai El Ha'arim. I'm going to raise my eyes to the mountains. Which mountains? The actual mountains? No. Mountains of Am Yisrael, those who started the nation. Who are these? Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which are the mountains, the high mountains of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are the mountains. Avraham, Yitzchak, Esa Einai El Ha'arim. I'm going to look to them for what? Me'ain Yavo Ezri. That just like when they needed help, when everything to each one of them, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, everything seemed lost. In the end came the morning. For them. Ain means from nothing. Me'ain yavo ezri. David HaMelech is not asking a question, from where will my help come? He's saying, even when there is nothing. Me'ain, even when there is nothing. Yavo Ezri. My help will come. Because I look at the people who founded our nation. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, each one of them with their own problems, with their own issues. And still they made this beautiful nation. And they plowed through life in a beautiful way. They went through life in such a strong emunah. This is the power of Shila Ma'alot. And this is Yesh Me'ayin. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. Creation means when you create something from nothing. And that's how God created the world. God created the world from nothing. This is the word Beri'ah. So whenever you see in the Sidur, it comes up so many times. The word Beri'ah, creation, it means something from nothing. This is not something that we can do. We cannot create something from nothing. We take the resources that we have, the wood, the gold, the silver, and everything, and we create creations. Plastic comes from things that are already here. Everything comes from everything that is already here. That's called Yetzirah. Yetzirah means after something was created from nothing, we give it all type of shapes. The tree is Beriah, is a creation. The table that is made out of wood is Yetzirah, was formed. This was made out of wood. This was formed from the creation of a tree. Asher Yatzar et Adam Chama, he gave form to the man. And then he created within man a creation from nothing, and that is the nekavim, the fact that there's openings and the cavities, all those limbs inside, all the sinews, all the veins, all the arteries, all of them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it inside a person. Chalulim, nekavim, many openings, chalulim. Over here, there's also a secret. Chalulim are cavities. These are the limbs, mostly the limbs. Chalulim. The Gemara tells us that there's 248 limbs in a person's body. Chalulim is the same numerical value as 248. Chalulim. Now, probably the greatest statement in this peracha. Galui ve'adua lifnei chisecha vodecha. It is obvious and known before the throne of your glory. Realize how crazy this saying is. It is obvious and known to you, God, all the way, wherever you are in this world. It is obvious and known what's going on inside Eliyahu ben Esti's body. Your individual body. This is where the rabbis stamped one of the faiths of the Jewish religion. And as the Rambam says, one who does not believe this cannot call himself Jew. Rambam says this, Maimonides. And that is to believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees and takes care of everything from the biggest whale in this world to the smallest little atom in every person's body. Again, this means, just so you understand what this means, this means that if you go to the sand, to the beach, right here in Santa Monica, and you would take each and every little grain of sand, and you would call it a name, and you would run out of names to call each and every grain of sand, and you would put them inside a jar, right? All of that, and do it to the entire beach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu not just has that, he knows all the sand even in the bottom of the ocean. Every single little thing was made by him. Every particle that there is was made by him in his knowledge. He knows how many shrimps there has to be in this world in order to make sure that they don't overpopulate or are not too little. He knows how many wolves there has to be in the world, or salmon, or lions, or giraffes. He knows when it should end and when it should start, how much they should populate and how much they shouldn't populate. This is an emunah that was so hard. Today, when you're able to see like things with a microscope, it's a bit, even harder to believe. But imagine back then, you're a nation and there's so many other nations who believe in so many gods, and the gods that they have is God of fire. It's so general. Fire is fire. You see it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we had this belief from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, from the time of Avraham Avinu. And that was the glory of Avraham. That was why we give. It's not just because he believed in God. He believed with entire faith that God controls everything in this world. And this is what Chazal, our sages, stamped over here. It is obvious and it is known before the throne of your glory, even by me, the individual over here, that I don't matter, it seems like. If one of them was clogged, it would be impossible for me to live. I'll tell you a story that I heard actually from a rabbi. He said there was a guy called David. David was one of those guys in Israel who decided that he wants to become a rabbi. So after yeshiva, he had the choice: you want to go to work, you want to become a rabbi? He said, I want to go become a rabbi. Okay. So what does he do? He goes all day. He studies in something called kollel, and he studies all day. David though doesn't get enough. Has a little bit of a problem. He's learning, but he feels like no one pays attention to him. The rabbi of the kollel, if you ever seen a kollel, it's one of the most marvelous things. Like people are learning, and at some point after the beginning, like 2 hours in, there's a whole discussion. Everyone is arguing with each other. How can you say this if we learned something over there? No, I can say this. I'll give you a proof. I hold like him. And usually the rabbi of the kollel is called the Rosh Kollel, the head of the kollel, goes and he brings a couple of the friends and they talk and they go back and forth. And I mean, if you're a part of that and he pays attention to you, you feel, $1 million. Imagine, CEO pays attention to, the boss pays attention to you the most, and he asks you, what do you think about the company? Well, you feel like $1 million. But David, he doesn't get any attention. He doesn't get invited to those discussions. His chavruta, his study partner, comes in. Good morning, how are you? They start studying. Nothing going on. He goes back home. Yeah, his wife, he loves his wife. His wife loves him, but he feels like his wife loves the kids more than him. He doesn't get enough. No one says good morning. No one says hello. And he's just by himself. One of those people who just believes that he's just one creation, most lonely of lonelies, the most, desperate. Unfortunately, people get to this type of a level, and you see this a lot today especially. That's why therapists make so much money, and that's the reality. But David on Rosh Hashanah says, I want to change. I don't get enough attention. So I'm going to give myself attention. And he says, on Rosh Hashanah, before Rosh Hashanah, he says, I'm going to buy myself a beautiful hat. The rabbi's hat? I'm going to buy myself a fancy one. Not just like the one that I have that is dusty. A really nice Borsalino, beautifully made wool hat, black, everything perfect. I'm going to treat myself. I don't know, other people, what they say, okay, I'll treat myself for an ice cream. He wants a hat. So he goes to the hat store. But he walks in, there's a guard, doesn't even pay attention to him. Understandable, that's David in his days. And he walks into the store and he tries out all the hats and he puts on a hat. Again, usually in the store, the clerks come over and talk to you. They don't even come over to David. This is how lonely this man feels. Okay. He looks at the mirror, he puts on the hat. Wow! He hears from the other side of the room. One of the clerks comes. I've been here for 15 years. I've run this store. I have never seen anyone wear a cap that is so suited on him like you. Oh my goodness. And what do you think it gives David? The guy who doesn't get any compliment. He has the biggest smile. He says, really? You don't understand. In Israel we say tafu. It's sewed onto you. Mamash, this is you. This hat was made in a factory just for you. And he feels, as they say, $1 million. He says, really, this is the cap. Okay. And he goes, tells him how much it costs. He says, no, it's a treat for myself. And he buys it. And he walks out the door. And the security guard says, Talmid Chacham, have a blessed day. And he says, thank you. You too. Goes to the bus. And when he comes to the bus is full. Suddenly at the end of the bus, he hears someone say, Talmid Chacham, Tzaddik, come, sit in my seat. Come sit in my seat. He said, no, what do you say? No, come. Torah comes first. And he goes to sit there. At some point, a fella next to him asks him, Tzaddik, it's right before Rosh Hashanah. Can you tell me some divrei Torah about Rosh Hashanah and the shofar and the significance? Asking me that? And he starts telling him a whole thing. He's in the entire time, what a magic cap. This hat is so amazing. He's like, what is this power of this hat? He says the Dvar Torah. All the way he's feeling $1,000,000. When he's about to go down from the bus, he wants to pay for the ticket, and the bus driver says, listen, this one is on me. It's before Rosh Hashanah. I want to do Gemilut Chasadim, especially with a tzaddik like you, Talmid Chacham. He said, this is what my cap does to me? He goes down and he says, but wait. The real test is who? My wife. Let's see how she accepts me. So he walks, he knocks on the door and he says, please, magical cap, please work. And she opens and she says, oh, my beautiful David, how are you doing? And he almost gets a heart attack. He says, this cap, HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed me with a magical cap. And he says, I'm doing good, how are you? And he says, it works on you as well. He says, what works on me as well? The magic cap, the new cap that I bought on my head. And she says, what magic cap? This one, this new one. I just went to the store, and he tells her the whole story. And she tells him, David June, you're still wearing the old cap. He looks, it's the same old cap that you wore that morning when he woke up. And he says, suddenly he realizes he forgot the new cap in the store.
Oh my God.
The entire time he was wearing the same cap. On the outside, he was the same David as the day before. What changed? The mindset, the attitude. It doesn't matter what type of clothing you wear, what type of a cap you're going to wear, what type of a family you have or you think you have. As long as in the head you're well, you have a good mindset. What do they say? They always say, I used to have a friend who was mamash. I think he's going to become a millionaire one day. He was mamash a CEO even in yeshiva. He always talks stocks, companies, knows everything. And he told me, one time I was going to an interview in another yeshiva, and he told me, Leo, do you have a very expensive watch? The most expensive watch I owned in yeshiva was a Casio $13 off of Amazon watch. That's how much I was able to afford myself for a watch. I said, no. He said, nothing from the bar mitzvah. He was a Lakewood guy. Lakewood, they know how to treat bar mitzvah. He said, you have a nice suit, expensive suit, like something like, I was like, yeah, what's this? He says, there's a concept they teach, the gurus, called fake it till you make it. Fake it. You got to wear a nice watch. You got to look good. You got to come in a certain way. Do your hair a little bit. Do you put your hair a little bit, comb in this? You come into it. Even if you don't know so much, even if you know this, they see who you are. You see you're put together with a nice smile. You're accepted. This was his concept. And all the time he used to do the same thing. The concept, you don't want to fake it. Don't fake anything. I don't agree with the concept of faking. Don't fake it. You don't have to fake it. Just like David, it doesn't matter what cap you're going to wear. It doesn't matter where you come from in your social status, As long as your attitude is confidence, a person creates his own success in this world. A person creates his own paradigm, his own opportunities. Don't wait for the opportunities to come to you. You have to make your own opportunities with a nice attitude, with a nice way of understanding things. When a person realizes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu from his kiseh kavod, as it says in this beracha, the galui ve'yadu avnei chesed, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking at you, and he knows everything that is going on in your body. Not just in his body, hers body, in your specific body. He knows what's going on with you. when you go to sleep and when you wake up, when you go to work and when you come back, when you eat and you drink and everything. He's there with you. You're not just a number out of 7 billion people in the world. To HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are his, as my wife says to her niece all the time, Junadel. You know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you. Suddenly your whole attitude would change. You're going to be someone different. This actually comes with a nice teaching from Rav Nachman Breslov. He says, just like there's Rosh Hashanah, and there's a beginning of a year, and we put so much importance on it, it's so holy, so too in a person's body there's also Rosh Hashanah. What is that? The brain. And what does the brain create? Machshavot, thoughts. Tachshov tov, in Hebrew we say a statement. Tachshov tov, yeh tov. If you think good, it will be good. Everything will be good. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think, and this is something that, I learned from a rabbi, one of my rabbis, Rav Yigal Cohen. I listen to his shiurim all the time. He said, for a lot of the single people, he said, I'm not going to tell you why you're single, why you're not. That we only know from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But he said one thing. He said, but before you go blaming God, always blame yourself. See, maybe you're missing something. And that's why the zivug is not coming. Not in a bad way, but see, maybe you're missing something. And Ezer Kenegdo, the chava of your life, he used to say, comes once you're going to know that Kadosh Baruch Hu is 100% sure you're going to appreciate her. Because marriage, as he always used to say, is a work of partnership and it's not easy at all. They give you a driver's license, you have to study. They give you a semicha they give you a certificate of rabbanut, of being a rabbi. They give you a bachelor's degree. They give you a certificate to become a doctor. Does anyone ever give you a certificate to get married? No, there's no such thing. And he says, and that's why you have to be ready. And you have to start. When you wake up in the morning and you're brushing your teeth and you're looking at the mirror, this is his example. And he says, and you're looking at the mirror and you're brushing your teeth, and there's no one next to you. By myself again. When you're eating your bowl of cereal in the morning and there's no one there next to you, the thought process, instead of I'm by myself again, I'm eating myself, should be, no, Baruch Hashem, I'm at the best spot and at the best place I could ever be in my life right now. This is what he wants. Once you appreciate that, every single moment, even when you're single, or it can even apply when you're sick, it can even apply when you're not so financially well, as you used to be, as you want to be. Once you appreciate those moments, then suddenly Kadosh Baruch Hu brings you up he bumps you up a level. Okay, I know he can handle now. If he always used to say, if I give any of you $40 million, how many of you, and there's at least like 100 people going to his shiur, how many of you would come back next week? Everyone says, me. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Most of you are going to buy yourself a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and you're never coming back to this shiur. You're going to, I'll donate. I'll give money. To come to the shiur, I'm too busy. I have businesses. I have towers. That's what he used to say. Once you appreciate the good and you learn to accept the situation right now, you're ready for the next step. And that's the lesson we learned from this Galui V'Yadu Afnei Hisech Avodecha. And to end off is Baruch Ata Hashem Hu Rofeh Chol Basar, who heals all flesh, U'Mafli La'asot. And what does Mafli La'asot mean? He does wonders. One beautiful message is to remember, and especially in this part, because remember, Akol Alecha Char Chatima, everything goes after the signature of something. To have kavanah at this point, when you're saying U'Mafli La'asot and does wonders, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu did such a wonder that he's able to take a neshama from high above and put her in a physical body. We believe that the neshama is the purity of the most pure things in the world. And he placed her inside a physical body, completely physical body. And he makes the two work together to the point that the neshama, if it wants to leave, it cannot leave. If the body wants to leave, cannot leave. This week's parasha, we learn about suicide. Kadosh Baruch Hu commands Noah about the isur, about the severity of the sin of suicide. This week's parasha. But the body can't just suddenly this. The neshama also cannot suddenly say, okay, I'm out. It's too hard for me. They stay together. They stay together. And that's mafila asot. Even though there's so many, there's a ear, the neshama can come out of here. The neshama can come out of here. Why is it not coming out? As the rabbis describe the body, it's like a bag full of air. And it has so many nekavim, it has so many openings, and it still doesn't come out, the neshama. That's the wonder that Kadosh Baruch Hu does with the human body. Chazak u'baruch, thank you so much.
Thank you.